Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront Updates and some actually quite interesting Star Wars gaming news. I've got a couple of updates in regards to a few games and as well as a live update, so if you're interested in what I'm up to right now, well, stay until the end of the video, but I figured we'd go over the Star Wars gaming news at first. Well, first of all, as a lot of you probably know, the first Star Wars Outlaws DLC dropped last weekend, Star Wars Outlaws Wildcard, which of course features Lando Calrissian. And so far the reactions have been pretty positive, I gotta say. Some of the complaints I've heard is that Lando's voice isn't ideal and that it is a little bit short, but that it otherwise is a really good story, which is also adapted so that you can play it anytime during the story. You don't need to finish the main game in order to play the game. Unfortunately, I haven't really had time to check it out, or any other game for that matter, last week, but I've really enjoyed seeing all of your screenshots, clips, and reactions online to the DLC. So I'd love to hear if you've played Star Wars Outlaws Wildcard. Let me know in the comments below what your experience with it so far is, because last time I played Outlaws I thought it was in a really good state and they've done some good changes to improve the game since the launch. But now over to the big news, or is it really big news? I don't really know how to read this, because as you guys probably know, Star Wars Hunters had the worst launch ever. We're talking like multiple years of soft launch and delays, and then it was finally released on mobile and the Switch. And as you probably know, Star Wars Hunters is a multiplayer arena shooter set in the Star Wars universe, which just the premise per se sounds really good. But again, really slow and poor launch and only on mobile. So I've kind of skipped over the game. But yesterday they announced that the game is actually coming to PC as soon as next month, with 2 Steam playtests in December and then the early access starting on January 27th with the full release mid-2025. And again, this game is completely free. And on top of that, it's going to be cross-platform and cross-progression, meaning that if you've played on mobile and Switch, you can continue on PC with your progress. But there's a lot of things I kind of wanted to discuss here, because first of all, this is kind of what I've asked for. I've always said that if the game drops on PC or consoles, I'm gonna give it a go. And yes, I will. If I get access to the playtests in December, I'm definitely gonna try to stream it or something like that. Otherwise, I'll hop on during the early access in January. But still, is this the solution for all our problems? Is this a replacement for Battlefront 2? Is this the multiplayer shooter that we all wanted? I'm not really sure. Like, I'm really willing to give this a go, but there are a few things that just makes me really worried. First of all, why would they not release it on the consoles at the same time? That's something that worries me a bit, because obviously the consoles, I would say, is probably a bigger market than PC, even though I personally play on PC, so I'm fine playing with a mouse and keyboard. But maybe that's something that's gonna happen later down the line. And secondly, I don't know how well this game is actually doing. In some statements, they said that the game is doing so well that we wanted to move it over to PC. But it's kind of weird, because if you look around on social media, official trailers, content creators videos, Reddit, it gets so little attention. Like, we're talking, I would get more attention if I made a random tweet about Battlefront 2 than the official stuff does on Star Wars Hunters. And that makes me think that people just don't care about the game. And I'm not really sure why, because mobile games can have large audiences and the game is completely free. Maybe this is something that will change once the game drops on PC and gets some significant players on there, but it's hard to say, because on the other hand, everyone who has played the game, I've really only heard positive stuff from it. Everyone who played on Switch, on mobile, keeps saying that it is a really solid game and that they're excited to play it on PC and maybe hopefully the consoles in the future. So it seems like the base is pretty good and that it has potential, but why is it getting so little attention? Why does no one want to play it? If you just told me, oh, we're getting a multiplayer arena shooter set in the Star Wars universe on PC, you know, I'd be sold just based on that premise, because that's pretty much what Overwatch is. But then, I don't know, how well is this gonna transition from mobile to PC? Because the fact that it is cross-platform, as much as that in general is positive, it kind of worries me, because there's a reason to why many games that are existent on all platforms have consoles and PC separately from mobile. And now they're gonna try to do all of that together, which makes me think that it's gonna be some kind of middle ground where it doesn't really feel like a PC game, to be honest. Again, I hope they prove me wrong, but I'm not really sold on this. And the reason to why I've not liked Star Wars Hunters is because I've felt like it has taken away our chances of actually getting a multiplayer arena shooter on PC and consoles, like a full AAA game, like, you know, Overwatch kind of. And now that's definitely not gonna happen, because now the game is coming over to PC, so why would someone make a dedicated multiplayer arena shooter, or for that matter, a multiplayer shooter at all? I feel like with Star Wars Hunters, they have lowered our chances of ever getting a Battlefront replacement. So it's like half of me want this game to die down so that we can get a proper AAA game, and half of me really want this game to succeed, become really big, and be really fun, so that we do actually have a multiplayer Star Wars shooter replacement. But as of right now, it doesn't seem like the game is in that state, and it definitely does not have the player count to get that big, even though the game is completely free. So it is a really interesting situation, and as of right now, there's not much we can do other than just wait and see how this actually plays out. Step 1, actually release a good version on PC, and step 2, hopefully release something on the consoles too. Of course, it's going to be a little bit of a graphical upgrade if you go from mobile to PC, but it's still a simplistic, cartoonish game. And if you look at the specs required for PC, well, you could pretty much run this game on a potato, which is really good, as it means that everyone's going to be able to play it, but there's a reason why the requirements are so low. The graphic fidelity isn't very high. But I'd really love to hear in the comments below, for those of you who've played the game, what are your thoughts and what you think this game could do when it actually drops on PC? And for those of you who have not played it, would you be interested now that it drops on PC, or when/if it drops on your preferred console? I would love to hear, as I really think we need a multiplayer shooter of some type, something that the community can gather around. I mean, I really just miss the way everything was around Battlefront, not just because I ran this channel and because I loved Battlefront, but we really had a sense of community. Every time something happened with Star Wars, we all came together in Battlefront. The developers, the players, the memes, you know, it was such a great community, and I've not seen anything like that in any other Star Wars game since Battlefront 2 was cancelled, and that's really what I'm looking for. Sure, we've had some really good single-player games, but that's never really the same sense of community. It releases, you play it, it's great, and then you kind of move on. It's not an ongoing community, such as with Battlefront. Could Star Wars Hunters be that? Probably not as big, but if it's done well, maybe it could be something that at least scratches a similar itch. I'm not sure, but I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Now just over to a quick little life update. As of last week, I actually started working full-time as a store manager for a disc golf shop called Ugglan. So I've actually been working there on and off for about a year, but I was offered the role permanently, and I felt like, yeah, I really want to accept it, because YouTube just isn't very sustainable right now, especially not for Star Wars games. There's like not a chance I could live off YouTube in terms of Star Wars anymore. But as a lot of you probably know, I do have a Lord of the Rings channel together with Sam, which is doing really well. So that's where you will hear me most of the time, with pretty much bi-daily shorts and long-form videos coming out regularly too. But that being said, this channel is still gonna be around, just that I'm not gonna try to force out content. I'm gonna make these kind of videos, or sometimes streams, when there's something fun and interesting to talk about. As Star Wars games are still a huge interest of mine, but there really just haven't been much to talk about over the last couple of years. But I still want to be your go-to channel for the big Star Wars gaming news, and I have no plans in changing that. And at some point, maybe regular videos will return, but we need an actual game that people are interested in for that to happen. And as of right now, Star Wars Hunters is not that yet. Maybe it can become the big game, I'm not sure, but I will give it a go and we'll see what happens. But in the end, I'm not going anywhere. You will hear me on this channel, you will definitely hear me on the Middle-earth channel, and if you're not following me out on my social media, consider doing that if you want to follow what I'm up to. Thank you very much for sticking around the channel and for watching the video, and as always, may the Force be with you.
Thank you.